Good Thursday afternoon to all. This is Phil Mason, and welcome to our December Tips Live. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Goshen. I hope it's nice where you are as well. Again, I'm Phil Mason, and I'll be your host today. And joining me is Jacob Shetler.
Hey, everybody.
So we are very excited to show you the new things that are coming out in GainSeeker 9.3. And we will get right into it. I'm not going to have much of an intro. Go ahead. I think we have the next slide. So one of the things I did want to share with the group who's on the call here today is a little bit about the quality processes that we go through internally as we are developing software. And I wanted to give you just some statistics on how we've improved our processes. So with 9.3, we had 143 specific items that have been taken care of in the software. Fixes, new additions, all sorts of things. And this is how development keeps track of those. So 143. And once those tasks were worked on, they're sent to testing. And of those 143, we had 11 that failed the testing. So first time failure rate, 8%. We then do a fix on that, and then we had a total of four. What is it? I think four of those then failed the second time through, right, Jacob? Three, okay. And then, so we have a total failure rate of 10%, and we have 1.1 times through our process of fails, and that's our most recent. And that is the best quality that we have had in our recent kind of recorded history of it. And just to give you an idea, a couple versions back, we had 157 different items we fixed. So this time we had 143, 157 different items, and we had 47 that failed the first time through as opposed to 11, so almost a 30% fail rate. And then another 20% of those, we had a total of 40 fails. And so a total failure rate of 31% and times through 1.4 before they actually passed. So we're excited to see how our quality is improved. And that's a part of our process. It really is very important to us. And just wanted to relate that to you all, that we are working really hard to make sure that any releases that we do, that we're not going to have problems with them and aren't going to have to do a 9.3.1 or 2, although, hey, it's always amazing. People in the field always can find some things for us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jacob. He's going to go through kind of the highlights. Like I said, we have over 140 different items we hit. But Jacob's got 7 big highlights for us, and I'm really excited about a number of the things we have. And I'll shut up so you guys can see the great features we've got coming up.
All right, thanks, Phil. As Phil said, my name is Jacob Shetler. I'm one of the developers here at Hertzler Systems, and I'll be going over the major highlights from version 9.3, which is scheduled to be released in January of 2020, January 6th. So the major highlights, localization to Spanish and French of PC Collect. We added a new way to see the data you're collecting in inspections with the data canvas. We added a new script type that allows you to continuously collect data until the data you've collected looks good. And then we've added integration support for Solartron Metrology, probes, and also for Minitab version 19. We completely overhauled the dynamic reports module and also how side panel charts work in inspections. So going first to PC Collect localization, we've translated everything that data operators interact with in PC Collect to Spanish and French. We've also added a new language menu option to PC Collect where users can choose what language they want to use. And we've added a new user setting to system administration. So besides English, Spanish, and French, There's also an option to use the Windows display language. This is the default selection for new and existing users. And when this option is selected, PC Collect is going to detect automatically if the computer is running in Spanish or French. We'll display PC Collect in that language. If it's not running one of those two languages, then it'll use English. So this is just a little display here of what that language setting looks like in sysadmin. Another thing that we've added is a command line argument for PC Collect called language. And you can pass in the argument for English, Spanish, or French to force PC Collect to run in that language. So while all user-facing text that is included in GainSeeker has been translated, there are some important items we should go over that are not automatically translated. So this includes any user-defined labels. So if you have traceability fields, your part numbers, processes, these are not automatically translated into other languages. Things you're displaying in the side panel, so charts and any documents. So if you're displaying PDFs or web pages, we're not translating those. And then if you have custom operator instructions in the side panel or inside of text tests on the inspections, those are also not going to be translated. Another thing that we've added for this release is the Python command login.language. And this will return one of those two-letter codes that tells you what language PC Collect is currently running in. So the point of using this is so you can update the side panel, so you can update your text tests or any disk commands that you might be using to use the right language. I'm going to show you really quick how this works. So I've got PC Collect set up here with the command line to run in Spanish. Let me just share my screen here. So you can see that the login screen has been updated to be in Spanish. I'm going to go ahead and log in. This is the new language menu that I was talking about earlier, where if somebody's logged in and they don't understand the language that's up there, they can change it. So I could change it to English. Everything updates immediately. Change it to French. Change it back to Spanish. As you're picking inspections and going through an inspection, all of the instructions that are built into GainSeeker have been translated into Spanish, so you can see the buttons are translated. As I'm clicking through this, the legend is updated, the instructions at the top are updated. And then coming in, I'm entering this value. Here's the problem with the data, so I'll change it so it passes, and you can see that the subgroup is now acceptable. Things like the note dialog have been translated. These messages that users receive while they're clicking through the inspections, all this stuff has been translated.
But like you pointed out, the traceability, lot shift department, again, we're not making those assumptions or trying to translate what customers have put in previously.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So let me get back to the PowerPoint here. So up next is the data canvas. So the data canvas is a new feature in inspections that allow users to see measurements overlaid on an image of the part that they're measuring. So this should allow operators to quickly understand which measurement that they're taking is generating real-time alarms, and then immediately take appropriate steps to correct the issue. So let's say that you were making a sub-inspection where operators were measuring different characteristics of a single part, like this headlight. So let's see what that would look like in a data canvas. I'm going to open up Inspection Editor here and go to inspection that I already have created that is measuring 6 different gaps in this headlight. Now, if I run this in PC Collect, just to show you what it looks like, I've got these numeric inputs on here. I can type in values. but I don't really know which one of these values corresponds to which gap on the headlight. You know, maybe I'm a new operator and I haven't quite learned which part of the headlight is gap 5, which part of it is gap 2. So a much easier way to display to your operators what measuring is with the data canvas. This is a new sub-inspection property. If I click on this, then it opens up the canvas where I can set up an image and then overlay numeric input values on it. I'm going to go ahead and choose an image that I have. I have this headlight image, and then I have 6 numeric inputs that are set up already on the sub-inspection. So I'm going to add each of the 6 onto the image. So you see on the left, I'm just clicking on the numeric input, and then clicking over on the right to add those values.
Nice.
So then when you run this sub-inspection, as operators are typing values into the numeric inputs, they'll also show up on the image. The other thing you can do with this is add labels. So if you wanted to add some instructions that weren't actually part of the image, you would be able to do that. So I've clicked the label over on the left. So now I'm going to click on the image and write some text in here, like type some values in the numeric inputs to see them appear on this image. And I can drag this around wherever I feel like I want it. So this looks pretty good. Go ahead and save this.
Wait, there's more.
Almost.
All right.
And publish it. So now, when I run this inspection, you see that my data canvas popped up. So now as I type the values in on the left, you can see that they appear on the right, overlaid on the image. So now operators, they know, hey, this reading of 4, I know it's in the top left. I should look at that part of the part that I'm measuring. So this is a way to give instant visual feedback to your operators about what they're measuring.
Nice.
This also carries over the real-time colors that you have over onto the data canvas. So another thing you might be doing, doing this type of measurement, is that you might be reading a bunch of values from a set of like gauges or probes. You might want to get continuous readings from these things, from these devices, until you have the fixture in the right spot, and then you want to be able to click a button and take the readings from those devices. So we've added a new script type in 9.3 called click toggle. I'm going to go ahead and choose that one on this formula. What click toggle does is it creates a button, and then the script that you select, it'll just run it infinitely until the operator clicks the button again. So this is a way to set up starting to take readings from gauges, from files. You can wait until another system maybe that you have puts out a file that GainSeeker is waiting for to read, and then we'll put in the inspection. So I'm going to have a button here that I'm going to call take readings. And then while the button is running, it'll display this running label. So I'm going to change this to accept readings. And then I'm going to choose a script. So it's kind of hard to demo how gauges work over WebEx. So I have this script that generates random numbers and puts them into the numeric input. So this is what I'm going to use to demonstrate how this works. I'm going to select that, save and publish, run it. And now all I need to do as operator is come down here, click take readings. It starts generating these readings. We can pretend that it's reading from these probes, putting them in the numeric inputs. It's showing up on the data canvas on the right-hand side. When I think the numbers are good, I click accept readings. You can see the numbers are all green. And now I'm ready to submit this data.
Part of this came from a client who's doing windshields, and they have these probes, and they have 50 or 60 of them around the windshield. And a part of the measurement process is getting the windshield placed right and getting those probes properly aligned before they take readings.
Yep.
All right. what's next, Jacob?
So that was the click toggle script. Excuse me. Lets you take readings from probes, gauges, devices, files until the operator accepts the reading. Up next is we've added Solartron Metrology integration into inspections. So this allows you to link numeric inputs and inspections with Solartron Orbit 3 devices. There's a new numeric input property called Solartron settings. When you click on that, you'll get this dialog that's showing up on the slide that has where you can set up what module you're reading from the Solartron device, the different add-ins and factors you might use to get a calculated value. And then using Python, you can read information from the Solartron and put them directly into numeric inputs. Dynamic Reports 2 is a complete overhaul of the Dynamic Reports module. It is now much easier to work with and much more stable when you're designing reports. Dynamic Reports 2 also adds the ability to use GainSeeker custom stats and Python external data scripts. So the exact same statistics and scripts you might be using in GS charts to generate dashboards or generate charts, you can now use to generate reports. The first time that you run Dynamic Reports 2 in version 9.3 or later, you'll be asked to import all your reports from Dynamic Reports. So this is a pretty seamless process. So all of your old reports that you had in Dynamic Reports, you'll be able to edit and view in Dynamic Reports 2. We've made some pretty major changes to how side panel charts work behind the scenes. And I've also added some new customer-facing features as well. One thing that we've added is the ability to link filters that are in numeric inputs to charts. So doing this allows you to make real-time checks the same in charts and in numeric inputs. This is something that's going to be automatically applied to existing inspections when you update to 9.3. So if you have charts that are filtered, let's say by line or by machine, those will be automatically applied to existing inspections and to existing numeric inputs. So that way that the real-time failures that you're calculating are consistent between the charts that you have in the side panel and the numeric inputs you have in the inspection. Another ability that we've added is you can now send charts linked to only numeric inputs that had failures when you auto send real-time failure emails when a sub-inspection is submitted. So before you used to get all the charts in a sub-inspection, but now you only get the charts with data that actually had failures on it. Another item we've added is the ability to export images of side panel charts via Python based on the test ID, the part number, or the process. You can also now refresh these charts via Python using these same arguments. Lastly, the obsolete charts that were created before based on a part number or DMS process that has changed while the inspection is running are now going to be deleted when that part number or process changes. So this is really going to clean up the side panel so you don't have to sift through useless charts that maybe the operator chose the wrong standard and now they have multiple charts. It's hard to tell which one is the one they're actually supposed to be looking at. So I think that's going to be really useful. And the redrawing code and the drawing code for the side panel charts has been completely overhauled. It is much faster now. It's also much more efficient in terms of deciding like which charts are redrawn when a sub-inspection information is updated. The last highlight for you today is that we have added support for Minitab Z19. So you can send data from GS charts to Minitab V19. This includes support for both the 32 and 64-bit versions of Minitab 19. So that's all the highlights I had for you today. Just a reminder again, GainSeeker 9.3 will be available January 6th, 2020.
right, so January 6th. And there's the list of what we went over today. If you have any questions about that, you can go down to the Q&A there in your WebEx and type it up, and we'll answer them here. Jacob and I have got a few more minutes on the line. One of the things I will show you, I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Can I take back over? Do you need to make me the? I'm gonna become presenter, Jacob.
Okay.
All right. So it says I'm presenting. There we go. All right. So the question of how do we get the update? I know a lot of you on the line today have done this a number of times, but just a quick reminder, under our client resources on our website, latest release gets you to this page, and very simply request the update, complete the form here, and you can do that. You can actually do that today, even though it says 9.21. We will hold your update for the new version in the box there. Any other information you could say, I want 9.3. Bree Sherman will queue these up and get them out to you when it is actually released. So resources, latest release, you can use this 9.2, that's fine. We will get that data out to you, no problem. All right. Where did my WebEx go, Jacob?
I guess so.
Sometimes. All right. Questions. It looks like we don't have any yet. Anything else you've thought of, Jacob?
Actually got some.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing an old chat. So yeah, you go. You go, Jacob.
Yeah. So there's a question: can the ability to change the data canvas images be set via Python? No, there's not yet. But because this is the first release, we're going to be looking at how customers are using it, what enhancements they think should be added to it. So that is a good idea, and I'm writing that down.
I noted that we had 140 some different items in this release. Jacob and Byron tell me that around 60 of those were specific requests from clients, from customers. So more, well, not quite more than half, almost half, 40%, 45% were driven by customers as new features and new items. So keep those coming to us. We definitely want to get those. And again, asking when is this going to be available? It will be after the new year. We are shooting for January 6th. So January 6th at this point.
Yep. There's another question about has there been a side panel item added where you can have multiple charts on one screen? We have not added that in 9.3. We are looking at adding that in 9.5. Another question about what operating systems 9.3 is tested on. We have tested 9.3 on Windows 7, both 32-bit and 64-bit, Windows 8, just 64-bit, and Windows 10, both 32 and 64-bit.
Okay. Got a couple more questions asking about updating traceability fields to different languages.
Right. So in order to update fields to different languages, things like processes, part numbers, traceability, you're going to want to create a different configuration that has these translations. So you can set up in sysadmin to point at tables that are translated. So if you had like a trace master table that was translated into Spanish, you could create a Spanish configuration, have it point to the exact same data as your English configuration, but then have it point to different traceability tables.
Okay. Another very specific one, enhancement number 3841. I'm sure you have that committed to memory, Jacob.
Yeah, that's right. So this is about note boxes at the end showing more information, like the note manager screen. Oh yeah, okay, I remember this one. This is also not in 9.3. I think we are going to add that in 9.4. But I'd need to look to make sure.
Okay, our next question, maybe the last one here. Okay, so I think it's a follow-on to the first one of changing the data canvas in Python, asking how is it set?
How the image is
image,
set?
I think the image, yeah.
When you pull up the data canvas dialog in inspection editor, so you pull up an inspection, you click on a sub inspection, and then in the property grid, there's a new property named data canvas. So when you click on that, then that dialog will give you the option to choose an image.
And so you select.
You select an image.
Yeah.
At that point, and then that's what's displayed in the canvas.
All right, excellent.
And I did look up enhancement 3841 for that person I was asking. That is scheduled to be in 9.4.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Well, this was a great glimpse into what we've got coming in 9.3. I think these things will really increase our usability. Obviously, language, that just goes without saying. That's going to be a really nice one especially for some of the folks on the shop floor, as well as the images and being able to have that data canvas. Great stuff there. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And yeah, actually, I guess you've got that. January 16th will be our next one. So we're going to stick with the third Thursday of every month. We'll do 10 months. We'll take off July, and we usually have a couple months where we don't do a Tech Tips Live. But we will have one January 16th. We're going to look at security, and we'll be covering that topic both in the GainSeeker world, but also in the bigger world of security, talk about that a little bit. So January 16th, we will have that updated on the website here within about the next week. We'll also get this posted, the recording of this posted, so that other people can catch up with what we're doing. So we thank you all so much for joining us again for Tech Tips Live. And obviously in the future, sign up. When you get the emails, spread them around to people around your company. The more the merrier on these calls. So have a great holiday season, and we look forward to chatting with you all in the new year.